Go on, Dave.
What's happening, people? Hope you're well. Welcome back to the show. Wow, what a weekend of football yet again. I feel like I say that every weekend, to be fair, for different reasons. But this season has been mad, up and down. It really is crazy. Again, some shocking results and some great results, depending on who you support. And a lot of the neutrals all thinking now, Arsenal have blown it. It's all over. It's done. Manchester City have won the league. Are they right? Well, we're not going to find out for a while yet. But I do fear the worst after some of what I saw yesterday, and it's very hard to pick some positives out of it. Me and Lee are back, and we've invited Sophie to the show from the Hybrid Squad. Sophie, how you doing, darling?
I am epic. How are you guys doing this fine
do you
Monday?
know what? I'm all right, really. I'm kind of over it now. I want to move on. I look forward to every weekend for different reasons, but I hate talking. I want to talk about this once more because I feel like I've spoken about it 3 times already, and then just forget it and move on and try and look to some form of positive moving forward because it is deflating, man. I can't lie to you. And before I come to you too, I said this on a show earlier. The reason I knew we weren't going to win yesterday was because Saturday night I went out for Santa to eat with my mates, and my God, was I ill. My God, was I ill. I don't know what the hell I ate.
Filet of fish?
It weren't a fillet of fish with mustard or with tartar, but it definitely was not one of them. I think it's chicken, and till 4 a.m. I was best mates with the toilet. Trust me, it was rough.
Oof.
And I woke up, my mate who crashed at mine said, "Oh my God," he goes, "Mate, I feel really bad for you here, but I really need you to do me a favour. My car parking runs out in 10 minutes. I said, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "Can you please drop me down? If I get a cab now, I'm going to get fined. It's going to be too late." Oh, come on in, mate. So I literally stuck a hoodie on, got in the car, took him down to the car park. Now, what I haven't told you is instead of taking a big chunk of keys out with me last night, I took my door key off the chunk just so I could take that out. So I then drive in my car. I get back to my house and I think, "Oh, you absolute wally. You are now stuck out." So I'm stuck in my car, feeling like crap, being sick, having no sleep, in just a hoodie. So I ring my old man up. I said, "Dad, you got to come sort me out." He's like,
You didn't put bottoms on?
Oh, no, trackies. Yeah, I had trackies on.
Okay.
Thank God for that.
I know. I said, that's ruined Lee's mind now. I'd
rather have a fillet of fish.
Not a Savaloy. I sat there and I thought, yeah, battered. I must admit, the old man, he sorted me out. So Pops come down. He goes, "Look, got the key."
Bless him.
I said, "Dad, we ain't winning today, mate. We ain't winning this today. I've had an absolute shocker. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. 2-0 up. Oh, Arsenal have saved me. It's not going to be a bad day after all. Brilliant stuff." And then only got ourselves to blame. Poor football for the majority of that game, as far as I'm concerned. 10 minutes where we look good. And Jamie Carragher, who I think, by the way, is becoming one of the best pundits around, has summed it up perfectly tonight. We got cocky. We got arrogant. We're mucking around with it. We're flicking it up people's heads. We're not keeping it simple. Game's done. Roll on Friday. 2-0. This will do us. Fine. Get cocky. Give away a penalty, which was a penalty. Don't care if it's handball. What's Party doing? Just keep it simple, yeah? Don't try and flick it over man's head. Make yourself look silly. Give the penalty away. Gabriel, what are you doing, my man? Once you commit, you can't hold back. Knee sliding like he's won a goal celebration. Poor. Very, very poor from him. And let's be fair, I know we missed a penalty, but I'm not going to get on the back of Saka. And I don't want to get all political. But when people start getting into the racist stuff again, I just got no time for it. I'm not even going to give them attention. It's just absolute disgusting, disgraceful. Ban them from the whole of this world and just throw the key away as far as I'm concerned. But Ramsdale needs to do better on the second one, but lapse in concentration again allows them back into the game. And I'm going to say it, and no one's going to like it. Everyone's going to hate me. They're going to want to put me in jail again. Get this toxic guy off the show. How dare you question Super Mikel? But what were those subs all about? Man took Tierney off for Fabio Vieira at one stage and wondered why we couldn't get anything won. Loan him. Please loan him, by the way. He is absolutely shocking, that Vieira. Please get rid of him. Do a Lokonga with him because he ain't ready at all. And, subs looked terrible for me. I need a goal, so he takes Jesus off. Saka, apparently he's unsubbable, even when he plays terrible. Unsubbable, can't take him off. Erdegaard comes off, and we need someone to whip a ball in for a goal. Tierney, he's no longer on. Can't whip a ball in now from the left either. Cocky, really poor all round. And there's a reason why I've gone first, because I feel like there's some talking points there that I want to discuss with you two. But before I do that, I want to see if you think I'm harsh or not. So judges, let's come to you first.
A little bit harsh, but right as well. You know what I mean? I actually felt it was
harsh. Then go on. What's harsh?
I think bordering on cockiness, arrogance. I think is definitely right. I think that I didn't think we played that well, if I'll be honest. But we're making mistakes. I think pressure showed yesterday. I've got to say that I actually watching the game. You know, obviously there. There was a little bit of pressure on the game. You could see that with certain players, but shot themselves in the foot. I actually, speaking to me West Ham mate, it's unbelievable. I've gone to the game and he said, I'll sit by the away fans, but you don't know where you're going to be when you go to the away game. There, look over and he's about 50 yards the other side of me, like, do you know what I mean? And he's going, I said, you watch this Arsenal. And he phoned me like, we're 2-0 up. He's gone, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, we can't get near you. You know what I mean? Like, the stadium was silent. We was absolutely bossing it. And I said to him on the phone, I told you that you're going to see a different Arsenal. Oh my God, yeah, I see a different Arsenal. Should have kept my mouth shut, like, you know what I mean? Because next thing we give away an unbelievable penalty. And then the game changes, you know what I mean? Like that, honestly, as a West Ham fan, I'm going to tell you this now, they were looking at it going, let's get out of here. And we move on to the next game. Damage limitation. That's how good we were. Or let's say how good we was. That's how dominant it was. And then we absolutely shot ourselves in the foot. Yes, Thomas Partey. Yes, Gabriel. If you have a look at it, whether it's handball or not, I think it is handball. I don't know the handball rule, by the way. Don't know it no more. What's handball or not? You know what I mean? I thought if you handballed it and it helped and the goal was goal comes from it, it's a handball. I've watched the one at Liverpool today. There's definite handball with Trent, but they're saying it's like too far out. I don't understand the handball. If it's handball, it's handball. Like, they get that in perspective. But you have a look at their play. He's going down. He's diving before Gabriel comes in. It's just rash. It's just, you know what I mean, like pressure, making poor decisions. Then I think we get a lifeline because, again, I'm going to say it now. I don't think that's a handball. People say it is. It's hit his hand. It's harsh. You know what I mean? Like, but you've got a lifeline. You've got to take it. Missed that. 2 minutes later, it's 2-2. And in the end, like last week, we was hanging on. But I can forgive I can forgive because it was at Anfield and whatever. But to do it twice in 2 weeks is unforgivable. It is unforgivable. And I do make you right with Mikel. Substitutions. Tierney, let's be honest with that one. He got cramped before he, hasn't played for ages. I thought we done really, really well, by the way. So big up to him. But he got cramped, so he's got to change it. I think Mikel went for it. Every single substitution that he made, nothing. There weren't an impact on it. I don't know if that's his fault or not. That's something you can debate. You know, sometimes he impacted the substitution with Reece Nelson. We get 3 points out of it, against Bournemouth. This time, he made the substitutions. It didn't make no difference whatsoever. And it didn't make no difference on last Sunday as well. I will say this, though, and it really annoyed me about Mikel when he turned around and said in his press conference, the players have got to get ruthless. Well, so have you, mate. So have you got to get ruthless as well if you want to win titles. Yes, he's a star man. Yes, he's fantastic. Yes, he's our best player. You could tell that nothing was going his way on that day. You know, he had a run 3-on-2 at one time, and he kicked it. You know, like it was like a back pass. It's just having one of those games, Saka. Forget about the penalty. Don't care about that. I've heard people turn around and say, "Oh well, how can you take? What would he have done to his confidence if you took him off after he missed a penalty?" You know what I mean? He's a professional footballer. He has been under pressure since he walked into the place. He can handle a bit of pressure if he gets taken off. And I don't understand why he wasn't taken off. That is the beef with me with the whole situation. You've got Thomas Partey. Why was he taken off? I'll tell you why he was taken off, because he took liberties and had a poor game.
He was
So
awful.
if you can do it to him, you can do it to Saka. You know, be ruthless, Mikel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it would have done anything to the game and all that, but you just see, I was sensing the game, and it wasn't hindsight like it was last week or whatever. And you can say, oh, hindsight's a wonderful thing. You could tell that it just wasn't happening for Saka on that game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that isn't the end of the world. He is entitled to have a bad game once in a while. And when he has a bad game, you can substitute him. That is it. He didn't do very, very well at Liverpool last week, if I'll be honest. I'm not having a go at him when I say this. It's just one of those things. But you can take him off. And that is what is the only thing that I've got to say about it. Like, you know, other than that, positives from it, I'll tell you the one positive that I got out of it, like, you know, is that we didn't lose. Because I'll tell you what we could have done. We could have lost at Anfield. We could have lost this game. And I look at it, Ramsdale. Yes, I think he should have maybe done better in that game. I just sensed that that we was under a little bit of pressure. And also, I'm going to say it now, right? When I'm going to the game, I was rushing to the game because obviously I've been playing football in the morning. I don't know the team sheet when I get there. When I get there, Zinchenko ain't playing. We've also got Saliba not playing, like, you know what I mean? Now, nothing against the players that are coming in, but when you're going for a title and you're going at the end of the business end of the season, be honest, it is the business end of the season, you need your best players. And I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Going up to Etihad, I'm going to go up there with a hope and everything like that. But if Saliba's not playing against Southampton, I think we're going to struggle, because you need your best players. You can't chuck Saliba in against Man City after not playing for 4 or 5 weeks, by the way. He's got to have 90 minutes under his belt, or at least 70 and everything like that, you know. And that's been, that is it for me, like, you know. West Ham, yeah, they defended well. I've got to say that. They defended and that. But when you look at it, guys, and I'll leave it on this other last point and all that, a point for them was probably like, that point has probably given Premiership football next season. That's how important it was for them. And so they're going to fight for every single thing to get that point. And when you're 2-0 up and you toss it away and give them an opportunity, give them encouragement to get back in the game, that is for me when it is criminal, like, you know. And I agree with Hendon Laguna. I think that Saliba's out for the season as well.
Yeah, it's not good, man. It doesn't look like it is. I'm not going to sit there and say that Holding played well, but at the same time, I thought he got a really, really hard time from some of the Arsenal fans. Lost a couple of battles. I think he made a couple of mistakes. But when you put a plaster on a cut, if you have a few washes, it does fall off. And that's what's going to happen if you play Rob Holding to the end of the season. Saliba is going to be out for the season, in my opinion. I can't understand why we're trying to keep it a secret. I think we're
I think we're trying to give people hope.
Yeah, but
I thought he's been out. If you listen to Kev talk about his back injury years and years ago, at the time he felt like it's going to be hard. It's really going to be hard. I don't think that Arteta needs one more negative potential to kick off, Dan. I think he's just trying to keep up spirits. I really do, because he's that important.
Well, like, be honest then, Soph. What do you think about what me and Lee have said? Do you think there's anything in that you disagree with?
No, a couple of interesting comments. The one about, I just spent like 10, 15 minutes on our show tonight talking about Saka and how you have to very carefully carve your opinion and what you share about Saka. And the reason I brought that up is because Saka is God's child. but he's actually a man now. He's not a
Mm.
child. He's a man and he's a professional footballer. And he has saved this football club for almost 3 seasons now. This could be his 3rd year in a row where he's player of the year. Don't come at Saka for missing a penalty, right? Same energy towards the defense, same energy to miss chances. Okay. It all works together. But I don't want us to mollycoddle him. And I think Lee brings up a really good point. He can be subbed. He was not great. He hasn't been great, I don't think, in the last 3 or 4 games. 3 at least. So that's my issue there with Saka. I just think that he's a big boy now. He can take care of himself. He shouldn't have to be apologizing for missing a penalty. And DJ Tony Perry was our guest tonight, and he said maybe he did that because of the fear of what happened after England. And there are idiots everywhere. But he's a star player now. Cut the umbilical cord. He's not a child. He's a man. That's the first thing.
Can I just quickly say on that, Soph, as well? Just very quick, because I do want to come back to you off. But it's interesting because there's a few people have said to me, he's young. And they've all said, no. Haaland is also young, 22 years old. No one says, he's a young kid, though.
Mm-hmm.
He's a young kid, though. When he don't score a goal or something like that, he's a young kid, though. Well, it's the same, right? Saka, and we shouldn't really be getting on him, right? Because actually, he's
we're not. We're
carried us for
protecting him.
2-3.
We're actually supporting him so that he's not mollycoddled.
And also, we're protecting him because he needs a bloody rest sometimes as well. And I know we've got 1 game a week, but this kid has played for club and country throughout most of this season in the World Cup. 1 game a week for Arsenal, if you want to start laughing, fair play. But actually, before that, it does catch up with you. And he is, for me anyway, in need of a rest now. It doesn't look to me as if he's the same kid. It's not worked out for him for a couple of games. That might absolutely smash it against Southampton and all be forgotten. But it shouldn't be laughed at that Saka, we can't take him off. Oh, my God, no, he's a young kid. Leave him on. Like, come on, man. He's a player just like everyone else.
Exactly. One of the issues I thought this had gone away because winning cures everything, right? But the minute a role of a YouTuber, and many of you out there, if you'd like, you can go and create your own YouTube channel. It's not easy. It takes a lot of hard work. And there are a lot of people that do it for nothing. Okay. And I think that when people are doing shows and they're giving their opinion, this whole stop criticizing the club, you hate Mikel Arteta, you hate this, you hate that. I thought we were way past that, but it's come to the surface again since the Liverpool game. And it's like, you can criticize, you can give an opinion about Saka and still love him and support him. You can give an opinion about Mikel Arteta and still think that he's done a great job, even if you didn't prior. You can still say something about the transfer, whatever it is. Like, this nonsense. It's just awful. Stop. We're going for a title. We're all in this together. We want our team to win really, really badly. And along the way, we're going to say things and do things that we're probably going to regret because we love the club so much. And I just think that's the one part that I just think is so important at this point. We've got enough to contend with the pundits and the media. As a fan base, I hope that we just stick together. And if we have disagreements between now and the end of the year, if we don't win the title, you know what? Has it not been a beautiful season? Have you not felt for the first time ever a connection with the club that you've never felt before? Has this journey not been incredible? Of course we want to win it. But if we don't kill each other because of it.
So if you make a fantastic couple of points there. Me and Dan were talking about this a couple of weeks ago when someone said to us, I never criticised so and so. That's because you never said nothing. You know what I mean? Like, we're out there, someone asks your opinion, we say it, like, do you know what I mean? Like, now, at the end of the day, we're never going to get it always right. So when someone turns around to you and says, oh, you wanted Mikel out, like, a couple of seasons ago or whatever, which I did because of the results and all that, like, that I put that opinion out there. That what happens is now that it changes. My opinion changes, and well, yeah, but you wanted him out, like,
And you're a flip flop.
Then you're a flip flop and whatever, like, But what I will say to everybody and everybody, the ones that come with that, like, are the same people now that sing Granit Xhaka's name, and wanted him out whenever it was, like, you know. So that's how it is.
And
like,
Arsene Wenger. There are a lot of
and
people out
Arsene
there that
Wenger,
wanted Wenger out with rage, and they're trying to
yeah.
preach to other people now, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so it's you know, it's opinions, and you when you do all this sort of stuff, you make opinions, and sometimes you're going to be wrong, sometimes you're going to be right. And when you do get something right, I don't hear people come up to you and go, "Oh, you was right about that, weren't you?" No. They look at
Yeah.
it as the other side of it all. The one thing that I will say, walking out of the ground on Sunday, and even the Liverpool game, as disappointed as I am as of substitutions or whatever, players and whatever and all that, like, I am still proud of the way I'm feeling about this football team. You know what I mean? I can't go heavy and go
Exactly.
mad and criticise them too much, because do you know what? They've given me so much pleasure this season. So much pleasure. And I'm gonna say it now, a little bit of pain. People are saying that Arsenal are crumbling. Arsenal are bottling the title. Now, I tell every Arsenal fan this: stand up with pride and give it back twofold, or tenfold, whatever the word is, because I'm telling you this now. 5 wins and 2 draws is not crumbling. It's not having a bad time, and it's also not disappointing, or it's what silly Jimmy Hasselbank has turned around and said it's, you know, a disaster. I'll tell you what, Jimmy, you Chelsea twat. I'll tell you what is a disaster: when you're 14th or 13th in the league, spending £600 million. That is a disaster, you Chelsea prat. You know what I mean? Like, don't come to us and turn around and say to us it's a disaster. Yes, it's disappointing, but it's not a disaster. All right, let's get that firmly out there and all that, like, you know. Now, we're on a run of 5 wins and 2 draws, yeah? On Saturday, I watched Aston Villa versus Newcastle, and everybody going mad about Uri Emery, how well he's doing with 5 wins on the trot. 5 wins on the trot, how well they're doing. When we get 5 wins on the trot and 2 draws, we're crumbling. We're a disaster. It's disappointing. Like, you know what I mean? So I urge every Arsenal fan to stick together through this, and we go, and whatever happens, be proud of this football team. Be proud of it. But I'll tell you something now. Every fan is their right mind to be disappointed at the end of the season, because I can tell you that now, if we don't win this league from where we are and all that, yes, I'll be disappointed. Yes, I will have the hump about it. But I tell you what, I won't be going mad and saying it's a disaster, because it's not. But it's disappointing, yes, from the position that we're in. But for me, when people around it all turn around and saying all these little chirpy little things about it and all that, like, you know, get over it. Arsenal's still in this title race, and until we're not, then we're not. But at this moment in time, we're 1 point clear in the league. Why are we 1 point clear? Right, because of what we've done over the course of 30 games. And I can tell you this now: when they turn around and say to you, Tottenham fans, bottle it. Oh, they're bottling. I had a couple of today going, "Oh, you're bottling it. You're crumbling," like, you know what I mean? Yeah, right. Well, you crumbled about 6 months ago, like, you know what I mean? Where are Man United in the league? Where are Chelsea in the league? Where are Liverpool in the league? And I tell you this now: where would they rather be? Where we are. I know where I want to be, because I've been wanting to be there for the last 10 years. We're challenging for the title. No one else is. Only us and Manchester City. End of.
Listen, it's facts, man, what you're saying. And Righty had it right, in my opinion, earlier when I read about what he'd said, and it was basically like, we're the youngest team in the league, and we've basically put ourselves in for a title race with Man City, and if it weren't for us keeping the league alive, it'd be very, very boring. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Listen, it ain't all over. It ain't all crumble time yet. I mean, as you've just said, we're disappointed. What's frustrated me, Sophie, I think more than anything, is not just the actual results. It's the fact that we've looked pretty leggy and tired.
Yeah, that's a
And
great thing. Yep.
I don't think we should, when a team goes over to Belgium on a Thursday and then comes back, and we're the ones who's had the week off. It looked like the other way around to me when I saw the West Ham fans running on 90 minutes plus. But this is where I'm at with it, Soph. And it's 2 different questions for me, but people like to forget the context and try to put them both into one. Has it been a success or a failure? Well, it's been a failure because you've got nothing to show for it, right? That's factual. People might hate that term, but it's actually right. It's been a failed season if we don't have anything to show for it. But I don't sit there and say that it's been an absolute disaster. There's two different questions for me. There's huge development, there's huge progress, but you can't say what a success it's been because you've got nothing to lift at the end of it, right? That's just factual. So there's two questions there, but they try to put them together.
Okay.
I won't have anybody say I won't have anyone say that this is an absolute failed season, disgrace, disaster. But you can't sit there and go, this has been a success. Look at what we've won. So there's two kind of questions for me there. And I find it frustrating when neutral fans want to kind of make it one thing. Does that have I made myself clear there?
You have, and a little bit. I did similarly what Lee just did on our show earlier because I just couldn't. I had to just cut the chaos and quiet the noise. Now look, my initial immediate reaction after the game was, "Oh my God, it's over." I even sent that to you guys as a text message, but I explained why I thought maybe. And this whole idea of bottling it is very different to thinking maybe a title race might be over in your opinion as a fan versus thinking your team have bottled or choked. Harry did a show where he asked some people, how can you bottle something if it wasn't your end goal to begin with? So what are we measuring success against, Dan? What are you measuring success against? At the beginning of the year, was the goal not to get back into the Champions League?
Yeah, the goals.
No,
listen,
okay. 100%.
Right.
The goalposts do change though, but yeah,
they do. And when they change, you have to be adaptable and you have to go for it. Last season, we did not capitalize on the improbable moment of the Champions League qualification, right? I think we learned that lesson. Arsenal showed in January, right? Now, maybe everyone wanted Mudryk on whoever, but the signing of Trossard has been a revelation and a huge part of why we're keeping that momentum going. That's right. So they doubled down and they said, we're going to go for it. You can't account for injuries, but you can account for having backups for your injuries. And I just don't think Arsenal are quite there yet with having everything that City does. We all know that. It's an obvious statement. However, there's certain intangibles. And for us, I think, can we beat any team when we play our best football and our starting 11? I say yes. I find it shocking we got kicked out of the Europa League, to be quite honest with you. Because even with some of our fringe players, I think there's certain teams you can win against. But I don't think we're there yet. We're still building whatever this process is. But the process has to evolve to progress. And this year, the progress has been phenomenal. If it wasn't for us, the title race would be boring.
Done, yeah.
Right? Look how many points ahead of Liverpool we've finished. I don't care if they've fallen off a cliff. We've still had to play those games and win those points. Look at Chelsea. We've still had to play our games and win those points. Look at Manchester United. You know what choking is and bottling is losing 7-0 at Anfield. We walked away from Anfield with a point. So as I was noodling all these things in my mind, Dan, after I sent that text to you guys, I started analyzing, okay, here's why I think it might be hard. Mentally, we don't have the tools yet. I think we've shown growth mentally from last season to get to this point. But when there's a crunch time, when the spotlight is on you, what Arsenal are you going to be? Have you really evolved? I don't think we've proven that yet. We're going to find out in the next 7 games if that is the type of culture that Arteta has built, right? The other thing too is we draw against West Ham. Liverpool's different because it's Liverpool at Anfield, but they're still rubbish and West Ham are rubbish. We couldn't beat either. And we've got to go play Newcastle at home and we're playing Brighton. Don't know if anyone saw Newcastle play at the weekend. They were rubbish, but they're going to be different when they're at home. Brighton have been sensational. What a season that team is having.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's going to be harder for us because of those games, because of those teams. And by the way, we've had 2 London derbies to play yesterday, and we've still got Chelsea. And anything can happen on a derby day, no matter what form a team is in. I'm not making excuses. I want to win it so bad. But if we don't, I don't think the word failure fits for this particular Arsenal team. Has it in the past under Wenger? Yes. But I think that did Emery fail? Yes. It's working out for him and Villa. Well done. You got to do that season after season. What he's done is amazing. But Lee says it great. Arsenal are measured differently. And we pissed everyone off when we won the Premier League unbeaten. That has left an awful pit in everyone's stomach. They loathe us for it. They hate the fact that we're the only team with a gold Premier League trophy. All of these things. And when we really hit rock bottom, everyone took that and ran with it. And this is what we're challenged with now. To win it all would be great, right? It would be amazing. And if we fail, be prepared for the onslaught because it's going to be bad. It's going to be really, really bad. But as fans, I think we've got to stick together and say, you know what? It's not a failure to finish second to Manchester City in a season where Haaland is scoring 557 goals.
Sophie, you make some fantastic points there and facts, and the one of the things that I will say is, let's throw it out there. Was last season a failure? In my opinion, I think that it was. You know what I mean? The target was top 4. We didn't get it, so I think that was a failure.
The target was to get into Europe again.
Yeah, but when you going into it 5 points clear at the end, whatever it was at the end, we should have. It was a fail. In my eyes, we failed, right? But it wasn't a disaster. It was, like this season, I don't think if we get second, as you quite rightly said, to Manchester City is not a failure because. Or a bottle job and all that, because over the last 4 years or 3 years and that, Liverpool have done exactly the same. Liverpool lost 1 game last season and didn't win the league. You know what I mean? Let's get this right. We're talking about this going up there, me, Ken, Russ and Adrian, if this was the invincible season, we wouldn't win the league. Do you know that? If we was in the invincible season, we would not win the league. So, you know what I mean? So when you look at it, how can it be a failure, right? But what I will say is, and I think Dan will agree with me, I don't want to hear people turning around and go, oh, well, the aim was to get top 4.
Please,
so
if I hear that.
Think like that, you know what I mean? No. Say it as it is. Yes, we've gone for the title. Fantastic. But we didn't get it. Disappointed. I'm not going to be going, and try and sit in there with a comfort blanket that we got 4th place. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I don't care about coming above Tottenham this season. Why? Because we're going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about champion getting in the top 4 because we're going to do that. We've done fantastically well to be in the position that we are. But at the end of the day, if we don't win this league, when you really be honest about it, we've thrown away the FA Cup. We've thrown away Europe.
Very upset about both those things. We've had that convo, haven't we, Lee?
We've done that to try and win this league. So you can't turn around and go, oh, that's all right, though.
It's always all right.
No, it's not all right.
No,
those things aren't all right.
This is what I hate about it. It's like
you have to turn around at the end of the day and say, right, this is disappointment. This is hard. Now, you talk to Kevin, and it's great that we can talk to Kevin about these sort of things, and I have on many occasions. And he always says that to win the league for a London club is a lot harder than everywhere else because of the London derbies. You know what I mean? I walked out of that ground yesterday. Now, West Ham were loving it that, 2-0 when you fucked it up, they kept singing do you know what I mean? But they were loving it that they'd stopped the Arsenal, right? Because of the local rivalry and all that, Now, they don't hate us and we don't really hate him, but it's still a London derby. You go, a couple of weeks ago, Crystal Palace, you've got Chelsea coming up, Tottenham, Brentford, all these games, you know what I mean? And you look at it, Liverpool have got Everton, Manchester United have got Manchester City, Newcastle have got Sunderland who are not about no more, We have got this harder way of it all, but then we're not making excuses. That's how it is. It's always been there. I
was going to say, I don't buy that.
No, the one thing, Dan,
they're rubbish in London. Apart from literally, it's been Chelsea.
Yeah, but they raise their game. Then. Teams raise their game, and I'll tell you what they do. They raise their game when they're playing against the Arsenal, and when you're at the top. You know what I mean? And then, listen, everybody, when you're top of the league, what's the you want to you want that scalp, Dan. You want that scalp. You know what I mean? Like you're putting yourself up there for it. Don't get me wrong. We'd love to get the Manchester City scalp, wouldn't we? Like, you know, but it is part of it. I'm not saying it. We're not trying to make an excuse. I'm just saying it's difficult. Every game's difficult. We got. You know, you don't think we're going to go to Southampton? It's going to be easy. You know what I mean? Like it should
Lee,
be, but it's not going to be.
Here's what I think should be like spoken of. And again, I'll say this. So I see someone in chat, it's people like me that are the problem because I accept failure, right? That's not true at all. I like to win trophies. I celebrate when Lee and I had a conversation. We were so upset about the FA Cup this year, absolutely gutted that we just tossed it away. And he's tossed the cups in the domestic arena away since he's won it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want me to go in a little, here you go. The conversation I think that needs to happen next season, right, is if we don't win, he lost the semi-final of the Europa League to Emery, right? He got kicked out of the FA Cup, and then we lost the semi-final of the League Cup to Liverpool. We're close to winning. Is he a manager that can close the deal? That's the question I would welcome fans asking, and they would have every right to ask it after the time period he's been at the club. Does he have the closing chip, Dan?
That is a great point. And listen, that's going to come on him. That is going to come on him because listen, we're not criticising him in any shape or form. You know, I've got so much admiration for the way that he's got this team playing, turned it around, the way he does with the press and all that. I'm a big fan of his now. Let's get that right. I am. But he had the opportunity to get over top four last season, and it didn't happen. We're in the same sort of position now, and it doesn't happen, like, you know. And someone made a great point in the chat a little while ago. I don't know who it was, like, you know, when they said, would you rather be us than Man United or Chelsea? Well, Man United have won a trophy. They're in.
All right. I was just going to come on to this.
In the top three. So they're getting Champions League. So is that a more successful season than what we're having? Yes, it probably is. But and the trophy and all that is great, and they're still in the Europa League, by the way. But for us to be having a chance at the title, they've had no chance. Actually, they had a chance of winning the title when they come to us a few months back. If they'd have won that game, they'd have gone level with us. Well, they haven't. You know what I mean? Like we have put in a fantastic title charge, and for me, you know what I mean. Like that's what I've always asked for, because we've won cups down the line, and everything like that. I get why he's forfeited a couple of those trophies and all that. But if you forfeit those trophies, there has got to be a time when you've got to get over the line, whether it's this season or next season or whatever. And you cannot be turning around and going, oh yeah, well, all right, well, he's done. We wasn't aiming for that, and we wasn't aiming for this, and we wasn't aiming for that. There is going to be a time when it will be on him. And hopefully, you know, look, listen, if he wins the league this season, it won't be because he's done it. You know what I mean? His credit's going to go right through.
And rightly so.
Look,
rightly so. Let's get that wrong. Right, get that right. Rightly so. Rightly so.
Let's get that wrong, eh?
I said that wrong, yeah. But like, if it doesn't, question marks are going to be said. Like, particularly with the people that, you know, that are, let's say, anti Mikel Arteta. I don't think anybody's anti Mikel Arteta, but what I mean, the ones that have got doubts about him and all that, like, and I get that there will be that. So, you know, if you've got a manager that does well and he's getting the team into 5th, 6th or something, then the club then says, well, we want a manager that's going to take us to that next level. You know what I mean? Like, now we don't want Mikel being that, do we? Where we can't get over the line and let's move it on. So that will come. If he doesn't get over the line,
it will. And this is the thing: like, we could go on and win this league, and God sure as hope we do, right? But actually, what frustrates me is don't matter FC. I really hate that. Yeah. Because it might matter FC at the end of the season if we come second.
What do you mean don't matter FC? Did I miss a memo? Is that what they're
calling us? Went out of FA Cup, don't matter.
Oh, right.
Went out of the League Cup, don't matter. We're going for the league. We've gone out to
Yeah,
Europe, good. I'm glad. Going for the league. What happens if you don't win the league? Did all that matter? Because I can tell you right now, if I'm a Man United fan and I get to 2 semi-finals of the Cups and then I win a League Cup and I come third, that's a much better season than Arsenal's second place without a trophy. Do you know why? Because they get to do that at the end of the season and we haven't. And they get Champions League just like Arsenal. Because title challenge is great, and I take that any day of the week. But I take a trophy over it because let's be real. The only time that anyone could have said Arteta has had a good season is when they won the FA Cup, because we got to do that. He hasn't had a great season other than that, has he? So this is time to prove that he has going to have a great season. He's going to go and win the title. Because for me, it's frustrating. The other thing that I don't quite get at the moment is target. The target was sixth last year. Really? The target should be to win the league every year, man. Yes, be realistic and manage your expectation, but actually have some ambition and raise the ambition of this football club, which, by the way, is unbelievable for winning trophies, right? Let's not say, oh, it was sixth. What an overachievement. We come fifth. Oh, it was fourth, really, wasn't it? Was it fourth? Well, second will do then. No, man. You got to try and win this bloody league. How many more times? Why don't we move to the Emirates to do this, no? Or will we just move in to try and get sixth and try and squeeze into fourth and pop the champagne? We got to go for the title, man. This is Arsenal. I grew up on George Graham and Arsene Wenger winning titles. We moved to the Emirates not to compete with fourth. Let's remember that, people. Yeah? Let's remember that we moved here to do what we're doing right now. So when we miss out, it is okay to be pissed. It's okay to be annoyed. Now you're going to start saying, sack the board, get rid of the Cronkies. Arteta, out you go, son. Let's bring them all in. Let's just calm down, yeah? We've come second. Let's go again. But we can be disappointed. It's not a disgrace if you question that perhaps we might have messed up the substitutions there, or the manager might not have got this right, or the players actually definitely deserved to be dropped there but wasn't, or we didn't do enough in the summer, or maybe January wasn't quite enough. All these things we've said in the last few seasons, what's actually been wrong with that? It's actually been how you feel, and quite rightly so. Some of the justification for coming eighth, and fifth that I've been seeing is poor in my opinion. We should have been pissed off for coming eighth. We shouldn't have been accepting that. And I sure as hell won't be sitting there going, everybody come together and just celebrate this second place. It's been unreal. Look at what we lift. Oh, we're not lifting anything now. Oh, Man United. Oh, do you know what? It's been amazing. Absolutely amazing season. No, I'll be pissed. I'm going to be real. And if you don't like that, that's calm. If you're happy with eighth, you be happy with eighth. If you're happy with sixth, be happy with sixth. I'm not, man. And that's why I've been so pissed off the last few years. Now we're finally there. I'm happy. But if we don't get it, I'm going to be pissed. I can't lie. I can't sit and lie to you.
But isn't that what we're doing? We are competing again for the first time.
But the thing is, Sophie, if we come second, I will be pissed off. I will. I'm not.
You have every right to be.
Everyone,
listen, I don't know what my recovery. I said I don't know what my recovery program looks like, but I need to start planning one just in case. It includes going to Pluto for a while, just so I don't have to listen to all the nonsense from everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
It's a fantastic conversation, this, because I get. I tell you what really does grind on me is when turn around and says, "Oh yeah, well you do a better job as a manager. That's why he's a manager and you're not." And things like that,
like we get all that money a year, right?
And it really does do my going, because I'm not a manager. I'm not the manager, but I tell you what, I am a fan that goes up and down the country, and you know what? That gives me an entitlement to do, to have an opinion,
100 man,
and have a say. You know what I mean? Like, and. Yeah, and that's what I do. And if the manager makes mistakes, I'm going to call it out. If he does fantastically well, I'm going to call it out. That's how it should be.
And this toxic stuff does made him, because it was very toxic after the game yesterday, Mikel Arteta. Do you know why? He called out a poor 21-year-old for missing a penalty. It was bang out of order. Because when we do it, we're toxic and negative. But come on, he's young. He's a young kid.
Okay. So that Dan, there was, for the first time in a long time, a disconnect between Mikel and the team yesterday in his presser. And I felt it. You felt it. A lot of Arsenal fans felt it too. He's always protected them. He has always protected them and been standing in the firing line, right? But maybe when you need something extra to motivate them again, Pep Guardiola threw his entire team under the bus a few weeks ago, all of them. And he set the bridge on fire. But you know what? They'll swim across for him because he's Pep. He's done it before. Mikel needs to just be careful. He's got this fine balance between so much respect, right? And going down that road, I don't think he's going to go down that road at all. And I think maybe you'd have learned from what he said yesterday. But he showed, I think, that he wants to win it so bad, he's going to use whatever he thinks
And do you know
remains in
what?
his toolbox to do it, Dan.
Do you know what, Soph? That wasn't even a dig at Mikel. It was actually a dig at the fan base that seemed to think that all the fans are toxic when they dig out one of the players or the manager. Well, the manager's digging out the players now. Is he toxic and negative? Or is he just actually pissed off like we are that he lost the game or they drew the game?
Yeah,
And
and
that's
that's
why
a
I
great.
couldn't get. I
That's
I
couldn't
like
get
where
that.
you're going with that, though. I see what you're.
That's a great point. What you say there, like, you know what I mean? Because do you know what? I'm going to be really honest with you, like, you know what I mean? I was down, disappointed yesterday when I had a couple of beers yesterday and found it very, very
Half pint.
difficult. But no, I had 2 pints. I was like,
Oh, must have been pissed off.
had to be carried on. Had to be carried home, like, you know what I mean? So,
But did you put the 2 pints in half-pint glasses?
no, I drank them like a man, like, you know what I mean? Drunk them like a man. But I think, you know, and I don't know about you guys. I can't bear to watch Match of the Day Arsenal, even though we lost. I still haven't watched it, the game back and whatever. But I did listen to his press conference afterwards, and I could see that anger,
Yeah, he was
and
seething, wasn't he?
disappointment, exactly what I was feeling, and I like
Good
that.
to see,
I
man.
liked it
Yeah.
too.
I liked it, and do you know what? I got comfort from it because if he's like that, I'm pretty sure those players got a real good going over about things like that, you know, and I like that.
Do you know what else I liked? Big up Tom Canton, by the way. He did an interview with Granit Xhaka, and it was quality what he'd said. We'll show you on Friday. I thought that was quality. Now,
Yeah.
they've still got to do it, by the way. They've still got to go and beat him. But I liked his attitude. It was something along the lines of, are you frustrated by this? Can you understand why the fans? He said, yep, totally get why the fans are annoyed, but we'll show you on Friday.
Yeah,
And
no talking.
I love
No
that.
talking.
I
Just play.
I loved that. Just go do your thing, man. And you know, look, I know Granit Xhaka ain't been great in the last couple of games. Actually, I'm surprised he's lasted as long as he has. He's been really poor. But I liked what he said there, and I really want to see this reaction, this bounce back now, because you're right. 2 draws, it's bloody deflating. But actually, 2 draws over the last couple of years at those 2 grounds, no one would have been saying disgrace, disappointment, get the hell out. We're all done out here. It's because we're going for a title and it's different pressure. And you know, people sometimes forget Arsenal ain't used to this. Arsenal ain't used. We are used to this. We just forgotten how long ago it was before we were properly in with one. And also, I remember, and so do you, Lee, in 2003, it's the only FA Cup I struggled to celebrate because I was still thinking about Leeds and throwing it away to United.
Yeah.
So we do know what it's about, yeah? I was in mourning walking out of Highbury on that day. The difference is this Arteta and this team has not done it. And that's what's different. This manager and this young team haven't been there yet. Sorry, Lee.
And I'll tell you, no, and I'll tell you, listen now, like, you know, you won't remember this, Dan, but everybody keeps saying, oh, this is very, very similar to 89, and it really is, because these were 2 games, you know, the 2 games are disappointing just before we go to Liverpool, like, you know what I mean? Like, and it was like this now, we've got to get a draw at Anfield and we're going to win the league. And then in the end, by the time we went there, we had to win. You know,
it was our derby in Wimbledon, wasn't it, that we messed up?
And the Wimbledon game especially was just like...
you know, I remember going to the derby game, like, and we was outside the pub ready to celebrate. You know, this is it, the title, and it didn't happen. And then he thought, well, right, we've got to win against Wimbledon. Must win at Wimbledon. Must win against Wimbledon. We drew 2-2. You know, so I do see a little bit
similar,
similarities, and I'm holding on to those things. But one thing I want to bring up, which I would ask Mikel. And I'd love to, you know, if I was in that position. And it's happened in 2 games now. How comes Martinelli is sensational in the first half and then I don't see him in the second half of these last
That's
2
a great
games?
point.
Great
point.
But that's been the team in the last 2 games.
Well, yeah, mate. But I see the game against Liverpool.
Also a good point. That is a good comeback. He's not just Martinelli, is it? Actually, it is quite a few of them.
It probably is quite a few. But what I'm saying is, I'm not picking on Martinelli when I'm saying this. I thought he was absolutely sensational against Liverpool in the first half. It was just incredible, and then he was again incredible yesterday in the first half of, you know, like creating goals and everything like that. And in the second half, there were a couple of occasions in the second half, he couldn't get past his man. He kicked the ball onto his foot, and he was like, he actually tackled himself one time. Like, and I'm a big fan.
You know what, Lee? He's trying too hard.
Is it that?
Martinelli, his heart's going to burst through his
He was,
effort.
but I don't know what he was. I
must
thought he
admit.
was sensational in that first half again. Like, I mean, why can't we get a second half performance like that?
Because everyone else isn't playing the same way, and he can't do what he does either. And that's just it's a trickle effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's been 3 games.
That's got to be
Lee and
addressed,
Dan.
Sophie.
It does. It does have to be addressed because there's 3 games this season where everyone shit the bed on the same day, and there were just horrible performances. The ones I can think of was the Europa League away game to PSV. Everyone dumped that day. The Everton Goodison Park game, dumped that day. And this second half against, I would say, I'm going to say 80 minutes against West Ham, everyone shit the bed on the same day. Not even Ramsdale could save us yesterday. And by the way, you want to talk about Saka missing a penalty and whatever? Should Ramsdale have made a better job on that save? Can you say that out loud after he just saved us at Anfield? This is one thing Arsenal, they're going to want to keep growing, guys. I think next season we got some really big decisions to make. We're going to lose players that maybe we like. That hasn't happened in a really long time. And I think that we need upgrades. And if we want this machine to keep moving, your nucleus is Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard. I'm sorry, but I think Thomas Partey is someone that is amazing and he's been sensational this season. But that midfield is going to need some extra spice next season. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to need backup for Zinchenko. You're going to need centre backs and you're going to need a right back as well. Because Ben White is too important. He goes, it's glaring. Saliba goes, glaring. Gabriel goes, glaring. Zinchenko goes, glaring. It just goes.
I will say this also, and it was brought up by somebody yesterday. I can't think who it was. Rob Holding. Not Rob Holding.
Rob Holding? Listen, you hanging out with Sonogo and Holding now? I mean, I can't keep up.
No. Who was it? Who was saying it? But he was saying with Ben White. Ben White, when he's got Saliba behind him, he's bombing on all the time. Go. He's been a little bit reluctant to do that. Now I don't know if he's been. If it's been because he feels that he's got to cover that, not cover it, but you know what I mean. Like it was like, well,
100%.
I can bomb on. Saliba will get over there and cover it if I'm there. And I think that's been the case in the last couple of games. I've noticed it with Ben White. How many times did he go past Saka and round him in that game? I don't think he'd done it once when he was doing it quite a lot before the injury. I think that he's just had to rein it in a little bit, and that's affected us. And that's I'm not having a go. Saliba's been a massive loss to this team, because he also is very, very comfortable on the ball. I'm not having a go at Holding here, because there's a difference.
Mate. And this is what annoys me when people say it. He's a centre half who's done well against Leeds and Palace, and he's been found out a couple of times against Liverpool and West Ham. What is wrong with saying that? It's facts.
He's not as comfortable on the ball as Saliba as well, is he? Like Saliba. Do you remember that game against Fulham a few weeks back? Was under a little bit of pressure, and Saliba knocks the ball out left side for Saka, opens everything up, and we score the goals. Remember, Holding hasn't got that in his game. And it's affecting us. It's not just affecting us defensively. It's affecting us as a going forward.
And Lee,
as well,
what people wanted Tierney in, that's what you got yesterday, right? I'm not ragging on Tierney, but the drop off is glaring. Zinchenko does so much, and people want to say he can't defend. Okay, he made a massive mistake at Liverpool. Of course, he's had some moments, but don't tell me. The other thing is, our defense needs to stand up here and be accountable. What's changed? Holding. I love Holding, but you're not going to win the league with Holding as a centre-back. You're just not. And everything you just said is the reason why Ben White has had his worst games of late is because he is too cognizant. There's no trust.
And
they may trust each other as bros, but there's no trust there.
And this is the point now that I'm trying to make. Like Donna's just said it in the chat, that Dan's mum, right? And I'm not going to have a go at Donna, but no way. But what I'm saying is that she's saying, we've got to hold into the end of the season. not necessarily so. That is where Mikel could make a big difference and change that. Now, change it. What can you change? Well, he could put Ben White back in there at central defence, right?
Who's playing right back?
That's the question. Who do you play at right back? You've got to try and find someone that can play at right back. You know, and that's where I think Tommy Hassel has been a big loss for us now, because that's where it's come in there. But maybe look, you might think I'm mad here. Could say a Nelson play out there, particularly at home?
It has to be Zinchenko and Tierney at fullbacks for me. If we do
Could
that.
be Zinchenko coming in there
Zinny
and
can
doing a little
play.
bit different. I think at the end of the day we are going to get found out. We're getting found out against West Ham and Liverpool on away games. We will get found out by Manchester City. So maybe Mikel has to do something out of the box, and this is where he earns his stripes.
Like when he makes, do you guys feel like we have a plan B? Is there a plan B? Like when he makes his subs, is he changing? Right. Is there any tact? Because Kevin and I argue about this all the time, and it's like, explain to me then what the plan B is. And he's mixed it up. He went at Liverpool. Maybe he got overly criticised for changing it defensively in the second half the way he did. But I just don't think that this is his team. There's no doubt about that.
What were the subs all about yesterday? We haven't even mentioned that. What was that all about? Did anyone get any of that?
Well,
not so much we brought on.
The biggest worry for me, Dan, was that Smith Rowe is one that was our.
Well, he's done, mate. He's gone.
Didn't get a look in. I don't really understand.
For him.
I get to a certain degree. All right, someone's party's having a bad game. Bring on Jorginho. I don't think that works.
Why did he buy Kivior then?
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Like, someone put that in the comments a little bit earlier on. Why buy a centre half in January and then not use him? You know, we're clearly not. Something's clearly not right with our back. Why don't you put him in there? And these two lefts on it. Does it matter? Does it matter when someone says to that me? It really does get my goat a little bit when at times Liverpool at home this season, he's put Tommy Asu in there, who's a right back, and he's not worried about that. Then you know what I mean? I don't understand that to a certain degree. Like,
it's a really interesting comment actually.
Smith
because
Rowe's
he has
a really
shown
interesting one as well.
Yeah, we went. So I said, why is he on the bench then? Like, because Kev's like, well, maybe he's not ready. I'm like, why is he on the bench?
Vieira's poor, by the way, and he's ahead of him. That's a worry for me if I'm Smith Rowe. That's a worry.
I mean, what? I mean, he played for the England under-21s and scored a goal. Yeah. I mean, it's like the barometer apparently is like, well, that's just not competing. It's not at that level. I'm like, I mean, he's playing. If you're going to bring someone off the bench to have an X factor or a moment, why not bring on the Arsenal lad who scored 10 goals last season? And you put him on the bench last season too, and rightly so, and he'd come off the bench and perform. He shouldn't be on the bench if he can't play, Dan.
And Vieira ahead of him is poor for me. I don't really see where the justification is to play this guy. I don't get what he's done in an Arsenal shirt that you go, he's a bit special. Give him a couple of years. He's a Santi. I don't see that. I don't think. I'm going to say it now. He will not last in an Arsenal shirt. You can clip me up. I've seen enough. He ain't good enough. He ain't good enough. He's weak. He gets chucked off the ball straight away. He come on, boom, on the floor straight away. Brilliant. What a sub. Just awful when he come on again. Like terrible against Sport in the Europa League this year. Some terrible games. And he gets a moment of magic flick and everyone thinks, oh, genius signing this. £40 million for him. Give me Ivan Toney for 40 million any day of the week over him. It has been a poor buy, that one. I can give you the great ones he's bought, and there's been sort of 60-40 in terms of percent of the ones that have been shocking under Arteta and Edu and the ones that have been phenomenal, right? But he's one of the ones that ain't looking good for me. But Smith Rowe, I worry about his so far. I really do. I worry about his future because he can't get in the first team, that's for sure. And fair play, he can't at the moment. The first 11, everyone knows what it is. He can't even get 10 minutes at the moment. And I don't know.
I tell you something, Dan. I said we did a show, you and I, and we talked about who would have the better career. Back then, we were talking about Smith Rowe and Martinelli and everyone. And then last year, beginning of this season, I said to Kev, I can see a scenario where we sell and cash in on Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
The problem is, Lee, is that not every Haylender is going to be Saka. But Smith Rowe, we've seen it. We know it, right? He's a very special young player. Something is a little bit off where that is concerned. But I can see him, all right?
Shame, wasn't it?
I can see him going to Aston Villa. Clip that.
Wow.
Listen, somewhere along the line, you're going to have to make sacrifices. And if you're going to bring in other players, like, you know, forwards and midfield players, and somewhere along the line, one of your casualties is going to have to go. Listen, he's struggled with injury in the last year or so. I'm a big fan of Smith Rowe.
I am. I don't want to see him go.
It's not because we want to sell him. It's because he's going to want first team football. That's why he will go. That's why.
And that would, you know, I don't know him from really, like, I know his dad and all that, but like, I'd imagine that he would be frustrated when you see that other players coming on in front of him and all that, like, you know. But maybe we don't know something that's inside the club. He's having to build up his fitness. I don't know, like, but when you look at it, Jesus was out just as long as him and has been chucked straight back in the deep, you know, and rightly so. We're not comparing, but what I'm saying is that I look at that bench and listen. I'm not having a go at Nelson here, and by the way, I think, you know, like the freaking against Bournemouth, fantastic and all that. But if you look at their records, Smith Rowe's goal scoring record is better than Vieira's. It's better than Nelson's.
Exactly, it's proven.
You know, and he doesn't come on, and Eddie come on with about 2 minutes to go.
Was embarrassing,
with 2 minutes to go, you know what I mean? Because he's not like he's going to win an header, is it? Like, and
that was a shambles, really, wasn't it? That I couldn't believe.
You know, so there were some weird substitutions. I have to say that, like, weird.
Just before we wrap on that, the only shining light, I suppose, for Smith Rowe, weren't long ago we said this about Martinelli.
Yeah.
And we were like, what's he not playing him for? Oh my God! And then boom, he's now coming the side. There's no break. I just hope
a little bit different with Martinelli because it was like, I don't know. I felt like his injury. Okay, managing back, same. You know, injuries are very, you know, precarious, and you got to be really careful and stuff like that. I think because he was playing great before, whenever he got his chance. I think because Emil's been out for so long, you know, you just, and he's on the bench, and even to give him 2 minutes, I'm not even asking him to start. I'm like, why is it you think he couldn't come off the bench and do something yesterday?
When
you believed in the players before, and when we needed a goal.
Well, the problem is he took the players off that could have scored the goals. Anyway, we're going around in circles here. It's not getting anywhere. Let's take a look at the super chats before we wrap up. This first one, I think, comes in from Sam. Sam, big up yourself, mate. Says, we were so good. By the time I got into the stadium, I'd missed both goals. Saka had been unbelievable.
There was a lot of Arsenal fans stuck out. It was a shambles yesterday, like, trying to get into the ground, like, you know what I mean? And a lot of
parking there is awful.
It was a lot of Arsenal fans were stuck outside for, you know, and missed the goals, you know what I mean? So
do you get the train when you go there, or do you guys drive and put it in the shopping mall?
I live at Cheshunt, so like Cheshunt to Stratford's quite easy. And then you just have to go on, like, you know, get your hiking boots on and have a mile.
Oh, isn't it horrible, that 45-minute walk from Stratford to get to the stadium?
It's one of those things when the stadium's there.
You see it, but you can't get close to it, can you?
It is so far away.
It's an illusion. It's a bloody illusion. Like, I mean, it ain't really there. You know what I mean? And you keep walking.
And getting out is a nightmare. So you have to take you through Westfield, and you can hardly nightmare. I hate going. I'm not going to lie to you. I missed that one, and I was lucky I did. Says we were so good. By the time I got to the stadium, I missed both goals. Saka's been unbelievable, but clearly wasn't playing with confidence. Trossard has to start. Never take Jesus off. I actually agree with both those last statements. I don't think if you got one that's leggy out of Jesus and Saka, it's got to be Saka for me that comes off, because Jesus makes something happen more, in my opinion. People might think that's wrong because Saka creates as well. But the last couple, I don't know how he stayed on because he hasn't been playing great, bless him. Trossard, I mean, I want to see more of this guy, if I'm honest with you. I feel it's a little bit harsh that he got dumped out the side. I understand why, but still use him. Bring him on for longer. Give him actually some game time. And actually, if you do fancy like dropping Saka, he's the guy that comes in. I know it's not quite the same, but this guy's done nothing wrong in an Arsenal shirt for me. So I actually agree with that one. Against Southampton, perhaps that could be the case. We shall find out. Next super chat comes in from Rishikesh, who says, if we bottle it, blame it on the January transfer window. We should have been proactive and signed a backup for centre-back, right-back, left-back and midfield. A little bit harsh, Lee, do you think? I mean, we got
Little bit
Jorginho,
hard.
Trossard in.
You can't replace everybody, but
No.
I do agree. Parts of me, I do agree on that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, again,
Centre forward for
hindsight's a
me,
wonderful
I
thing.
think
We didn't know
was
Saliba was going
potential.
to go out, and we didn't know that Tomiyasu was going. I think when Tomiyasu got injured in that bloody game against Sporting, that was a bigger loss than what we all thought, because it's not just Tomiyasu can cover all those positions. Left back, I'll be honest with you, if he was fit, he'd have probably played left back on Sunday. He could play in at right back at the moment, and Ben White can go. He could also actually play in centre half.
He can, and he's done that for Japan.
Yeah, and he's done that, and he's comfortable on the ball. He is a bigger loss than what we thought. You can't legislate for that.
Another worry, another one who can't get more than 10 games.
But I was right by that injury, and it was just unfortunate. The fella just laid on him, like, it was just unfortunate. Like, you know, it's just one of those things. But I think in January we could have, you know, listen, I don't mind spending 30 million on a central defender and everything like that, but I'd rather spend this 30, 40 million on someone that we're going to be using. Yes, that Trossard's come in and we're using him. He's done fantastically well. Jorginho has been sparingly used and done okay when he's done it there. But I just think we needed a little bit more in the transfer window. But, you know, it's like when I go to, you know, all you can eat buffet and Chinese. I just like an extra salad.
Let's go to the next one. Lauren Taylor, big up yourself, mate. Where's it gone? It's gone somewhere. 3.5 seasons plus over 500 million spent. I'd expect a title challenge at this stage. Not buying this ahead of the schedule stuff. The standard of expectation has been lowered so much by his previous seasons. Do you know what, opinion? But I think it's spot on. I think it's absolutely spot on. Go on, Soph.
I would say it would be spot on had we been coming from a place of winning in the Premier League. I don't think people realise just how broken this club was.
Yeah, I think that's the great point.
And it takes, you know, look, Chelsea they've got a long journey ahead of them. You know, look at Man United, 7, 8 years. If you'd have been asked 8 years ago whether it would take that long for United to not win or win, whatever, no one would take that bet. So I would say this would be fairer if we had been perennial winners in the Premier League, but we haven't for so long. So the fact that it was a rebuild job of the highest order, and we've seen, if you don't do that, how it can affect squads, teams, clubs like, you know, Tottenham, etc. I think this is a little harsh, but I do expect, like, next season, I expect better in the domestic competitions. I expect to be challenging again for the Premier League, and I expect the owners to invest, because we've just been through a few players and talking about them, Dan and Lee, that might be made of glass just a little bit, you know?
Listen, I agree with you there, and you know, that's a super chat that I do agree
think
with.
it's a great debate one. I'm happy. Listen, I'm happy where Arsenal are at the moment, or where they are at the moment. And listen, I'm going to say this now. Don't compare other teams to what does at Arsenal. Like, you know, someone saying, "Oh, Emery's just he's changing it already." Aston Villa are a different pressure to Arsenal. Get that right, because at the end of it, you know, like, he's done fantastically well, by the way. Do you know he took over Aston Villa when they was in the bottom 3, and he's pushed them all that way up, and like, you know. But they've had 5 wins on the spin, and everybody's going mad about it. 5 wins on the spin at Arsenal is average. That's the bar. And you have to accept that, you know what I mean? Like, 5 wins on the trot's average for Man United. 5 wins on the trot is average, is a gimme for someone like Manchester City. So there's a different pressure. It's a different pressure at Arsenal than there is other clubs. Let's get that right, because at the end of the day, you know what I mean, we're having a little bit of a wobble at the moment, and everybody's on it, you know.
And we haven't lost.
And we haven't lost. Yeah, exactly that, like, you know. So listen, for me at this moment in time, spending money, yes, you know, anybody can spend any money. So how you spend it, And at this moment in time, I'm happy where Arsenal are at this moment in time. I am, like, you know what I mean?
I don't think anyone's not happy with where we
In
are.
7 weeks' time, Dan, I probably might not be happy. I'm going to say, I'm even next week, I might not be happy.
Keep the
But,
faith, man.
you know, yeah, keep the faith at this moment in time. See what happens. And I tell you what, I will say this now. Every Arsenal fan, like, there's a lot of Arsenal fans, and I hope this isn't, you know, oh, it's all over now, it's all done and all that. I'm just hoping that Mikel and the players ain't thinking that, like, because if they are, we're done. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to still have faith, believe in what you've done. Arsenal can go to Manchester City and get a result. That result yesterday hasn't changed anything. Whatever, if we'd have won yesterday, we've still got to go to Manchester City and get something. What it has changed is now that if we get something at Manchester City, we have to go to Newcastle and win.
Yeah.
You know, so and if you're going to win the title somewhere along the line, guys, you've got to go to somewhere big under pressure and win a game of football. You've got to do it, whether that be Manchester City or Newcastle or Brighton at home or Chelsea at home. You've got to go and do it, and that's what we've got now. We've got these. Is it 7 games left? We've got to.
We always used to, Lee. When we went there, we went to Anfield, 89 Anfield. You know, remember 98? We went to the Old Trafford. Overmars scored.
Yeah.
We went to Old Trafford again in 2002 and won. We won the league at White Hart Lane. All the songs. We've done it before, so we've got to go and do it again now.
And if you look at title champions, Dan, they've all done it. Look at Leicester. Look at Leicester back in the day. Like they went to the Etihad and won 3-1. You know what I mean?
Crazy,
like Chelsea when they won the league. You know, when they was 10th in the league the season before. Went to the Etihad and won. You know what I mean? Teams go like to, you know, Manchester United when they were winning titles, come to the Emirates and beat us, went to Anfield and won. Liverpool, how many times they won at our place in the last few years? Because that's what teams do. Arsenal have got to do the same. I don't fear going to Newcastle. I don't fear going to any team at this moment in time. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that we're going to win, but what I'm saying is that's what attitude you've got to have. Like, chests out, let's get up there next week and let's get a result.
100, man. I actually agreed with that last super chat. I can't say that I agree with this one. Lee, you're with my line of thinking. We can't continue with Holding. Partey played at right back at Atletico. Play him there. Play him inverted and put Jorginho in at 6. Invert both the fullbacks to give him support in midfield. No, thank you. No, thank you. But what's your thoughts, Lee?
I'd rather see Jorginho playing there and as an inverted like right back rather than that. Listen, you cannot take. I've seen a couple of things in there, like, you know, at the moment, like you cannot take Thomas. But we've had a couple of draws. Thomas Partey is a key player to us. He had a bad game yesterday, but at the end of the day, he's had more good games than bad games. So he don't drop. Saka, he should be dropped or rested and all that, like, you know. He got rested against Crystal Palace, right? And since he got rested, he hasn't played bloody well since. So maybe it ain't always a great thing, like, you know. Listen, the reason that we're top of the league is because of certain facts. One of them being that Saka's been brilliant most of the season. Same as Partey. Do not start panicking. That's the thing you can't do now, like, you know what I mean? Have faith in these players. Yes, they've had 1 or 2 bad games, but listen, Saka can go up to Manchester City and cause all sorts of problems and be the match winner, win 2-0, and then like everybody be going, oh, I'm glad we didn't drop him and all that. It's just how it is. Have faith in these players. I've got faith in these players. Whatever happens at the end of the season, whether we win it or not, I've got faith in all of these players. You know what I mean? Like, because you know why? I've been so impressed with them all season. And if they don't get over the line, they don't. That's how I see it.
Partey's been the spine has been Saliba, Partey, Jesus, which has allowed everything else around that to just function beautifully.
Yeah.
And yeah,
we've had him
without
out.
Without that, it's hard.
Jesus. How good is it? We've had him out for 3 months. And how good is he?
Eddie deserves some credit. I know he's getting killed. Listen, he's done his job for the season. Yeah. I don't expect I don't care what Eddie does for the rest of the season. He did his job.
Unbelievable.
I agree with that.
We didn't really miss Jesus that much. You know what I mean? Like, when you see him come back now, all right, he's not quite up to the standards yet because of fitness and all that. He's Swatterson. We've had him out for 3 months. We've had Saliba out for a month now. Like, you know
but there's a difference for me. It's like, Hurry up and come back, Saliba. Whereas we weren't really like,
No,
Christ,
wasn't
Jesus,
doing
we
that
need you
with
tomorrow.
so
We
that's
didn't, to be
credit to
fair.
Eddie,
It
isn't
was
it?
Trossard and Eddie. Trossard and Eddie, huge credit. But Saliba, yeah, we need you back, man, ASAP, and it don't look like it's going to happen. This last super chat of the night sums it up. It ain't all over. Big up, Cliff. But it is definitely squeaky bum time. Listen, it was squeaky bum time 2-3 months ago for me.
Yeah.
So it certainly is now. Let's end on a bit of a positive, both of you. Last question. If we go and spank Southampton, which let's be fair, we should do. They're down and out. The only team I think guaranteed them going down, which by the way is mental. I don't know if you saw the Leeds result tonight. Jesus Christ. 6-1 Liverpool. Wow. They're in trouble. 5-1 and 6-1 in the last 2 games. Jesus.
6-1 was it?
6-1 tonight against Liverpool.
We're not a bad team, that Liverpool, are
they? They're all right, Liverpool, aren't they? Yeah. Imagine going there and flopping and getting a 2-2 draw. In seriousness, though, we do need to beat Southampton. And if we do, and it's convincing, is that the sort of result that could pick you back up? Or is it going to be about sustainability now for Arsenal? Does that make sense? Like, if we go and beat Southampton, it's great, but then we've got to back it up, is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough to do this, isn't it now?
Southampton, we win that game. I look at that game on Friday. That is one we just got to tick the box, get it done, and then it's all on Wednesday. Then, you know what I mean?
Can't lose that game. Can't draw that game.
Can't draw it. We
have to win. Have to win
that game.
We've got to win them all, really, haven't we? Apart from draw,
and that sets up Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like it sets up Wednesday. We cannot go to Anfield. We cannot go to Man City needing a win. We need to go there knowing that we can get a draw or a win. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
and then it's like a round of golf when you've got a lead and there's only a few holes to go. Just par golf. You don't need to do anything sensational or sexy. You just close it out and just play par golf. Win every.
Because if we do that, if Man City can win 8-0 in every single game,
doesn't matter.
Of the season,
doesn't matter.
None of it matters.
So that's what we've got to get ourselves into. And believe
also,
in that.
Dan, if we do get a draw against them, or we do beat them, even better if we do. They can't afford to slip up in any stage. Then,
no.
You know what I mean? So
do you think they will? Do you think they will?
No, I don't. I don't think they will. I think I look at all
the games.
I think Everton may be a dodgy one because
when I Brighton away. Man,
Brighton away could be especially if they're going for Champions League. The two. I look at Everton. Everton, if I'll be really honest, I think are in real trouble now. They need to get a win from somewhere, and a home to Manchester City could be the one. So I don't know. If I'm a betting man, I would bet. I've said it all along. I believe there's only one team in Manchester City's run that can stop them, and that's us.
One game at a time. Go on, Soph.
Dan, I'll leave you with this final thought because look, Holding's under fire, right? I just want to remind everyone they thought the same in the FA Cup in 2017, right? Diego Costa versus
pocketed
Rob Holding. There is potential that he could pull off one of those performances if he's the guy who's going to play at the back at the Etihad. Just when we think a player's like toast, done and dusted, just remember every now and again, you just need one performance from him. One. And that's there if he's going to be the guy. That is
and I will say, he didn't do a bad job in the FA Cup, by the way.
Yeah, agreed.
0-0 when I think he came off in the second half. He got booked, didn't he? And they brought on Saliba. But he done okay against him. Physical rough stuff. Holding's not bad at that. It's running at him and running around. Mind you, Holding can do all that as well. Shut up, Lee.
Listen, it's gonna be crazy. There's been some negatives tonight, and rightly so. We're deflated, we're down, we're annoyed, but there's positives as well because it's another game and it's one game at a time, and it's Arsenal still top of the league. Do our job, man. Do our job, and that's what Mikel should be saying. Just do your jobs, and we'll be fine. Man City, I have no doubt, will do theirs. So this is going to be tough, but a title race is a title race, people. This is what we all wanted. Sophie, big up yourself. Make sure you head over to the Highbury squad. Go check her out earlier. She had, did you have DJ? Was Tony Perry with me?
Yeah,
earlier?
DJ Tony Perry.
Yeah. Legend, man. Love Tony.
Waxing lyrical with us.
Yeah,
Was awesome.
what a lad.
Yeah, it's top geezer.
Great to see you guys nearly at 14K. Absolutely
Yes.
amazing. So well
Yeah,
played.
a little
you and
slow
KC.
burn show, just doing its thing.
Brilliant. It's brilliant show. I love it.
It's the best, man. It's the best. Make sure you go over to Highbury Squad and smash the subscription and put the notification bell on, because then you know what it's all about. Every night around about 8 o'clock, boom, done.
Love
Kevin
it.
and Sophie time. Likewise, do the same, please, for this channel. We're on our way to 40K, which is our next target. So make sure you can get myself, Lee, and the crew there. Lee Judges TV. Hit a subscribe. It's free. And if you can come and do myself a favour, that would be amazing on Football's 12th Man podcast. If you do fancy tuning in tomorrow, I'd highly recommend it, unless you're an Arsenal fan, because they're going to roast me. But it's one of those things. Self-awareness, people, self-awareness. 10 p.m. tomorrow. Make sure you're there. Hit 8K the other day, so if you can keep getting up to 10K, will be my next target. That would be amazing. Share the love, people. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Lee Judges, as ever, mate. I will see you very soon.
I'm getting back to watch the snooker, and did you see? Someone put down a chat earlier
Yeah.
on.
What was that all about?
What is going on with the world at the moment? Like, you know what I mean?
Grand National and now the snooker.
There's protests at someone on the table.
Yeah, he just ran up and put a load of orange powder over him, like, you know what I mean? Like a bloody tango man, he was, like, you know what I mean? Like, so they've had to stop. It's only one table playing at the moment, like, so it's incredible what people will do, wouldn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Instead of doing things like that, they might get themselves on YouTube. You know what I mean? They don't have to do things like that these days. You know what I mean?
We're going to have a protest on here.
You can get yourself
Someone going to jump on in a minute and just...
One of you should protest at the Etihad. Anything to disrupt that next in a week's time.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. Big up to Ronnie O'Sullivan. Big fan of it. But also, more importantly, Ronnie O'Sullivan's a big gooner.
Oh, I love him, man. Yeah. He's one of my all-time sporting heroes.
I love him.
For me.
What a winner, eh? How about talk about mental? Woo!
He's incredible. Dave reckons, Lee, that you should come on with a fillet of fish.
I'll tell you what, like, I'll tell you what, I'm going to say something now. I'm not going to mention the place, right? But I would rather have had a fillet of fish than what I had yesterday. Like, hey, Dave, my God, what was that? Oh.
It wasn't Greek food, was it?
No. I'm not going to say where we was, but
what did you have? Tell me what you had.
Well, I asked for a cheeseburger. I said, don't do cheeseburgers, mate. So I got a pulled beef burger, right? Oh, I'd rather have a fillet of fish.
I am laughing in the background.
With two.
What was with it? You have no sauce with it or anything?
Just two pickles inside the pulled beef burger.
Yeah. Oh my God, right. I didn't eat it. It was awful, right? And I'll tell you what, if David had put a fillet of fish with 2 dabs of mustard on it, I would have ate it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I had to come home. I had to come home, right, and treat myself to a wimpy cheeseburger and chips. It was fantastic. You know
a wimpy. I had a wimpy for ages.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
Underrated wimpy, isn't it?
Underrated by a million.
So underrated.
So underrated. But so I enjoyed that. But this thing that I had, I thought it was a little bit weird when they said we don't do cheeseburgers. You know what I mean? Like, well, who don't do a cheeseburger? Like, I realise why now. It was the most horrendous thing. The chips were nice, the beers were nice, but
the best I ever had. I went to Highbury. This was years ago. We went unbeaten. I was with my mates. We went to Highbury. We stopped off. Can't even remember where it was now. What chippy we stopped off at? Didn't have any chips. I've never known anything like it. It must
have been Spurs away. Surely it was at Spurs.
I thought, what's she going to get some chips?
Yeah, exactly. That's
what is it? Cheesy
have you ever had a burger? Have you ever had a burger outside one of the grounds? Now, it used to be a holy thing for me back at the Highbury days to have one of them, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I used to Highbury years ago.
Wind on a Saturday night all the time, like, because I don't know what it was. It just reacted to my guts, but like, you know what I mean? And, but they were lovely at the time, like. But now, I you know what I mean? Like, I'll never have one now, like. But
why? They're good.
Yeah, I should.
They're good.
Perhaps I should have another one.
The place opposite the Jamaican, the place opposite the Jamaican spot, just before you get to the Little Wonder Cafe on the right. There's a couple there. That's a good burger.
Yes. I go there. My dad go there. That is
whereabouts.
Good,
whereabouts?
So walk. So as you walk into the Tollington, and on the right they do their burger stand there, mate. Go there, Lee. Honestly,
like,
the burgers are proper homemade,
when
and
you
they're
go
all
up,
flavoursome.
go up towards Finsbury Park Station, they've got them all scattered along the way there, and you smell them and all that. The smell is unbelievable, isn't it? I do
The
really
smell
like
is
the smell.
just glorious. There's
Right, I'm
nothing
having
like a dirty burger. Nothing.
Right,
You
I'm
made me
gonna have a
so hungry. Now I'm
gonna have a
dreaming of
dirty
going into
burger on
Wimpy.
Friday. Like, I'm gonna have a
Do you remember
dirty
actually
burger on
going
Friday.
into the Wimpy and eating it with a knife and fork? I mean,
I love that.
you
Though.
sit there, you get your little.
That brings out my posh side because I do like to. If I go into Wimpy, I do. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, when I go say like a proper restaurant and I have a burger, I always eat with a knife and fork. What are you laughing at?
Do you eat your pizza with a knife? Do you eat your
You eat a
pizza with a
burger
knife?
and a fork?
Huh? Yeah.
You eat your burger.
Yeah.
What, you
So
cut it
like,
up
say
in
if you go,
triangles and stuff?
where can I say that I'm going? Like, if I'm going to
Like a nice
TGI
brasserie or
Fridays or
grill.
something. Go to TGI Fridays and then you cut
right,
your
yeah,
burger up.
TGI Fridays.
Wait, is
like, and
that's
I'll
not a
burger and
nice
chips.
restaurant?
Huh?
What you talk? That's not a nice restaurant.
Oh, well, what are you saying then, Sophie? You name one.
I mean, maybe just a that's a restaurant. Like if you're doing fast food burgers
They
and
don't
then you
go
want
to
to go
nice restaurants. They
nice.
go to McDonald's, Wimpy, and Burger King, mate.
Well,
That's
no, like if I go
Carry
to
on, Lee.
Wimpy, if I go to Wimpy, I'll use a knife and fork. If I go to say like, right, we'll just use TGI's for example, right? If we're going to TGI's, right, and I order a burger and chips, right, I would eat with a knife and fork.
If you're at the Hippodrome in the steakhouse, are you eating it?
Yep. Order a burger, I'd eat with a knife and fork. Wouldn't do it with my hands.
Well, I'd cut it in half. If it's a big one, I'd cut it in half and then I'd eat it half and half.
That's what I would do. I would go with Dan, but I can see why Lee's going down this road. Because when you went to the Wimpy when we were younger, I ate my burger with a knife and fork.
Yeah.
Back in the day because we had chips and
McDonald's or anywhere. I think because I'm dressed up and you're going out for a nice meal and all that, don't use your hands. I don't know. But if I'm at McDonald's, I'm not going to go.
That's McDonald's. Have a knife.
I'm not going to do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
You got all the Americans right now being like, TGI Fridays a nice restaurant. It's a bit different here.
We're using that as an example. We're using that as an example.
We were more meaning about places that we go to on regularly as opposed to like
an answer to the other question, if I go to Pizza Hut or thing like that, I always use a knife and fork with a pizza.
Well, if it's deep pan, then I might bring the knife out to help. But picking it up and just folding it now, all the kids are folding their pizza now.
If it's a massive one, I will cut it up sometimes. But
this is quality content, by the way.
Not just a fork, a knife and fork. Get it right, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
What's your favourite condiment? You can't pick ketchup with chips. If you can't have ketchup with chips, what do you have? It's a great question. That if you can't,
burger sauce. Burger
it's
sauce.
Got to be burger sauce, and it judges. He knows, man.
Or like an aioli, like a nice aioli mayo type.
Like aioli.
What is it when people turn Donna vinegar? Like, typical. Like,
my mum likes vinegar.
When people go, can I have a bit of mayo with me? What mayo with chips? When did that come out?
I don't get that one. Really.
You've got to mix it with the ketchup. It has to end up being a fry sauce,
just
so it's pink.
Sauce, man.
Yeah, so you end up with a pink sauce with the mayo and the
Football
ketchup.
game says mayo.
Barbecue,
come on.
Barbecue's good. I like barbecue sauce.
I always when I go to McDonald's, right, with my chips, I always have to have barbecue sauce to dip them in, like not tomato.
Do you know the most underrated though at McDonald's?
The sweet and sour sauce.
Sweet and sour, yes,
Sophie. Dan.
That is the most underrated sauce ever. Love
it. Absolutely.
Do you know what fruit they make that with? There's a quiz question for you. What fruit do you reckon it is they make that with?
Pineapple.
Mango.
Both wrong. Have another guess. Have it in the chat as well.
Papaya.
No.
Is it going to be something just so easy and random, like an apple?
Not plum, not mango.
Strawberries.
Not strawberries. Not
oranges. Is it an exotic fruit?
You said every one, and pretty much apart from the one that it is. I'll tell you because it's going to suspense is killing you. Apricot.
Apricot.
Yeah.
I don't like apricot.
Oh, I love an apricot.
You're going to say that as soon as I said it. I thought you were going to go.
I like marmalade. Do you like marmalade?
Yeah. No, I don't like marmalade, but I like apricots.
It's weird, isn't
I love apricots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
That is
Anyway, I
very
don't know how
weird.
this has turned into the food
yeah,
channel, but it
yeah.
has.
But we like to
you
do
know.
that. That's the bloody, it's come out because that fillet of fish again from Dave, like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
Dave likes
Brilliant.
to
I
do that,
always look
doesn't
at Dave, and there he goes. I love Dave. He's very, very good company when you go at him, but I always look at him and go, "You're a fillet of fish, man." It puts me off him. I don't know why. Like, you know what I mean?
Dave, you got to come back to that, bro. You got to come back to that. What's music?
Music beds kicking in.
I ain't got KC in his sunglasses, man. Start going some.
Dear.
Listen, that must be an outro music to get the hell out of here.
Well, I
People,
do remember
we'll
I
see you
pressed
later.
that by the wrong button, didn't I? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, that was class when you did that. Make sure you smash a like on the way out. Make sure you go over to Highbury Squad. Keep the faith, people. Big up the Arsenal. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.
Adios.